Welcome. It's so good to see everybody. It's really nice that you all came. This body of work, titled As Above, So Below, is a 1.5 year long project. I've been painting a planet in whatever zodiac sign it rules. So right now it's Sagittarius time in Jupiter. Jupiter was started a year ago and finished not long ago. This work ties into my other profession. I'm blessed to have to do two things that I love, and that is called acutonics, which is also known as harmonic planetary medicine. So it's related to the planets. Both the paintings and acutonics are vibrational because color is vibrational. And the forks they're tuned to the orbits of the planets, which was discovered by Pythagoras. So each painting was done specifically to show more of the feeling of the planet. Well, I have a book called As Above, So Below, and I've had it for many years. I've been studying the planets for about 8 years. And I saw these photos that were close-ups of the surfaces of the planets, taken from various probes that were in space. And they looked like encaustic paintings to me. I looked at them and I said, oh my God, it's wax, it's perfect. And I also looked at a lot of pictures from NASA's website and different images. And they're all sort of a combination of that, but they're representing what I've seen in the photos and also just the feeling I get. For example, Uranus they describe it as a giant blue fuzzy ball. And to me, it was so minimal. And I just wanted to show just the variation in color, and that was it. I did several of some of the planets. Like there's a couple of small Venus lava flows in there, whatever attracted me. And I'm going to keep doing this. Different ones are done differently. I pour the wax on some, like Mars right there, the wax has been poured. And some have been poured like these. This is La Tierra. I chose to show the Earth as 3 separate parts because when you look at the planet Earth, it's just all milled together, the giant blue marble as they call it. And I chose to show each one differently to make it more of a minimalist painting. But what I did, I poured the wax on these and then I moved it around. So it came out as some more textural earth or sky or water type feeling. And all of these are not just encaustic. And I should explain encaustic to those who don't know. Encaustic is a very ancient method of painting with melted wax. It's beeswax. It's mixed with damar resin, and it's pigmented, either with powders or paints. It's very hard because of the resin. So you paint it on while it's hot, and then as it cools, it hardens, but you have to fuse the layers with heat. Sometimes I fuse with a heat gun, sometimes I fuse with an iron if I want a really smooth surface like Neptune. I've also painted the surface or drawn on it with oil sticks because I love drawing and painting on this surface. It's just luscious. The way the paint moves and the crayons and whatever I use. This is also based on something called music of the spheres that is Pythagorean. And he's the one that discovered that the music, or that the planets, when they orbit, are making sound. And then NASA started going up there, and they were recording the sounds. So there's all these recordings from Voyager So, and as above, so below. The universe is all, and man, we're all the same. We're all made of atoms. And it's to recognize, for me, when you look at these paintings, I want you to sort of recognize something that's a part of you, with the color vibrating, and knowing that we're all part of this universe. We're all, I think a lot of times people don't think about that. We think about on the earth and like this and what we're focused on, and we don't think about, oh, this is all connected. So that's my hope for this work, that people will look at it and remember. Europa is a moon of Jupiter, and I can't get enough of looking at Europa. The lines, it has an icy surface, and those lines are just fascinating to me. And I was particularly drawn to the fact that there's all these lines crisscrossing everywhere that are built up, that's caused from the ice. And then the broad bands they had too. So those lines are made up with just building up wax over and over again. And then sometimes I scratch into it. Venus has a lot of scratching. That is representing the electricity in the atmosphere of Venus and the clouds. So, and then the moon, La Luna, I stamp with various objects when the wax is kind of warm, so it leaves those circles. And then I also build up some. And the little marks, the little pock marks, as somebody called them, those little bubbles, those kind of come naturally sometimes with, it very much did with that. It was kind of weird, like some of them it doesn't happen so much, but that one ended up having a bunch of little dots in it from just from the wax, just the way it was brushed on. Saturn, everybody thinks of the ring, and a lot of the pictures I looked at, the photos I looked at, had showed the shadow. So that big band is the shadow of the rings. And then that thin line is the ring, or the rings, because when you see them sideways, they're super thin. But that's obviously a big close-up. And Saturn had to be more precise. Saturn taught me. All these paintings taught me. And when I would get frustrated with them, I'd go for a walk, and sometimes, quite often actually, I'd be like, I was working on Venus, I was working on Mars, I was working on Pluto. I'd be walking and I'd find a rock that I'd look at it and pick it up and say, okay, that's it. As above, so below. Jupiter is very gaseous, and so I did Jupiter a really different way, and it's interesting. I painted the bands, so there's all these swirling clouds in the methane atmosphere, and it was too staid. And so what I did with Jupiter is something I'd never done before. It was kind of a surprise. I poured some clear medium over it with no pigment, and after I did that, like I was telling you guys how I moved this around after I put the paint on there, I moved it around, and then all the wax underneath it started doing this. I wanted it to have the cloudy, gassy looking, with beautiful colors.
Yeah, it really does. It's wonderful.
This is Tagus Vallis, which is an ancient crater part of Mars, a huge crater. And Neptune, with all those blues, I must use 8 colors of blue in that. All the blues, I really wanted to have it as a large minimalist painting and just have it be all these blues. And I definitely brought archetypes in. You know, Pluto, who I will always consider a planet. The black is representing Pluto. Pluto's archetype is sort of the lord of darkness and death and transformation. And so that black is representing that. Jupiter, you can hear, speaking of the music of the spheres, you can pick it up, the magnetic sound waves come through your radio. If you're like in, but you have to be in a totally rural place, and it has to be AM. So nobody's going to hear it.
Well,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.